Hey everyone, I'm Dee. In today's video, I'm going to provide you with the 10 states with the lowest tax burden. One of my main goals for providing this information is to assist you along your road of finding which state best fits your needs. Now here's the thing. Tax codes are complicated, to say the least. But that one simple ratio known as tax burden helps cut through the confusion. Unlike tax rates, which vary from person to person, the tax burden measures the proportion of the total personal income that everyone pays towards state and local taxes. The tax burden takes into account the three tax types of state tax burdens: property taxes, individual income taxes, and sales and excise taxes. Not all states pay all three of these tax types, however. For instance, there are 9 states with no income tax: Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming. New Hampshire, however, does tax dividends and interest. That is why the tax burden is so helpful. Just because a state doesn't pay income tax does not mean that they don't pay any taxes, though it does help lower the overall tax burden in most cases. With no income tax dollars coming in, these states get their revenue from other sources. Typically, this translates to higher sales taxes, property taxes, and/or gasoline taxes. For example, homeowners in New Hampshire and Texas pay some of the highest property taxes in the country at 1.89% and 1.6%. There are many factors to consider when determining which state you might like to move to, and the tax burden is just one. Therefore, I'm going to provide you with the cost of living for each state also, to give you as much information as possible. If you're looking for a place to retire, or if you're just looking for a place for a new start, I would not suggest moving to a state solely on its tax burden, but rather to also take into account its cost of living. To give you a baseline, the national average tax burden is 8.9%, and the national average cost of living is 100. Cost of living is a measure of the average cost in a particular area and is given a score of 100. So anything with a score higher than 100 is considered to have a cost of living higher than the national average, and any state with a score lower than 100 is considered to have a cost of living lower than the national average. That said, on to the 10 states with the lowest tax burden, along with their corresponding cost of living. Number 10, Oklahoma. Tax burden 7.12%. Cost of living score 85.8. Number 9, Missouri. Tax burden 7.11%. Cost of living score 89.1. Number 8, Montana. Tax burden 6.93%. Cost of living score 104.8. Number 7, South Dakota. Tax burden 6.69%. Cost of living score 94.5. Number 6, Wyoming. Tax burden 6.42%. Cost of living score 92.5. Number 5, Florida. Tax burden 6.33%. Cost of living score 102.8. Number 4, Tennessee. Tax burden 6.22%. Cost of living score 90.2. Number 3, New Hampshire. Tax burden 6.14%. Cost of living score 116.1. And number 2, Delaware. Tax burden 6.12%. Cost of living score 105.6. And the number 1 state with the lowest tax burden? Number 1, Alaska. Tax burden 5.06%. Cost of living score 116.5. And those are the states with the lowest tax burden. Were you surprised? For me, before I did my research, I never would have thought Florida was a low tax burden state. Remember, though, that tax burden isn't everything. While Alaska has the lowest tax burden, it is also one of the least affordable states and has some of the worst access to medical care, which is something worth taking into account if you're looking at this data with the intention of choosing a state to retire to. I'm going to leave this video here. I hope you found this information helpful and entertaining. Please take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment, as it helps me and my family and helps my channel grow. I appreciate you. Peace, positivity, kindness.